Hello and welcome to Presentation Skills. Susan asked me if I had some thoughts that I would like to share with you regarding doing these online presentations. And I said, yes, I do. I generally will cover it in one of our lessons if we're having face-to-face lessons, but that didn't happen. I said I could absolutely do it in one of these extra lessons. So I have 10 points that I would like to go over. And let's start with number one. Number one, we have to see your face. Now, I know there's someone out there thinking to themselves, I'll just have the PowerPoint up there and I'll be behind it reading my presentation and it'll be just fine. It'll be good enough to pass. And I'm going to tell you this, it's not going to be good enough to pass. It's not good. That's not a workable strategy. We're going to need to see your face. And I even wrote to Susan, I said, can we make sure that we tell them that we have to see their faces? And she said, I'll absolutely tell them we have to see their faces. How do you do that on Teams? I do not know, but someone does. And I would say put that on your list, figure out how to do that, where your face is here and your presentation is over there or whatever. Or maybe you're even like this. Who knows what's going to go on. But we need to see your face. Okay? So that's point number one. We have to see your face. Point number two, make eye contact with the camera. Now, we've all been to these presentations where someone's looking like this, they're reading like this, or they're looking like this because they have bifocals, or they're looking into the camera, or whatever. What I've done is I put a dot on my screen where if I look at that dot, I'm pretty much looks like I'm looking at the camera. Does it look like that exactly? I don't know. And I'm not going to do this again because I did it before and I was saying that and I was completely wrong. But anyway, figure out where you have to look at the screen in order for it to look like you're looking at us, because that will be more engaging for us. If you're constantly looking, if you're presenting like this the entire time, we feel disengaged, which means not engaged. So we want you to look into the camera as much as possible, okay? I mean, you can look at your notes and stuff, but when you're just talking, you should talk to the camera. Don't talk to your image. That's a loser of an idea, okay? Look at the camera and figure out where that is. Point number three, do not read. I've seen a lot of these presentations, and there's inevitably someone who gets up and they just start reading, and they're reading to us for 12 to 15 minutes, and it's so boring, and it's so not engaging, and it's just so not what we're looking for. And if you were reading, I will promise you this, I will lobby whoever I'm with for you to fail. That'll be an automatic knockout for me. And even if you're talking, but you sound like you're reading, knockout. Just don't read. You should know this material. You should have, here's a point, I'm going to talk about that. Here's a point, I'm going to talk about that. I have 10 points here, and I'm not reading. See, and it sounds like I'm talking, because I am. Do not read. Do not read, do not read, do not read. That should be in my next three. Okay? 4. Think of voice modulation. Voice modulation. Are you talking high? Are you talking low? Are you talking fast? Are you talking slow? Are you taking pauses? Pauses will give your audience a moment to think about what you just said. And you don't have to do that. That was ridiculous. You don't have to do that, but think of pauses. If you're just talking 90 miles an hour, first of all, you're going to have a lot of material. And those pauses will eat up a couple of seconds now and then. It'll also make it more engaging for us, and that's your goal. So think voice modulation. Do not talk robotic like that. Talk faster, talk higher, talk lower. Just talk like a normal person. You'll be fine. Think about voice modulation. Number 5, interact with your slides. Now, in a real world situation, I would ask you to, I would want you to go to the board and point to the slide, point to where the graph goes up and whatever. But I would want some interaction like that. Here you're going to have to just verbally interact with it. As you can see in the graph, over the course of time, more and more of these things are happening, or less and less of these things are happening. Or it goes like this. I'll find a handout and I'll put that in so that you can actually have some vocabulary to add to your already wonderful vocabulary that will help you describe those charts and graphs. Number 6, describe what's going on in your charts. And again, this is the same thing, but you're going to interact with your slides and charts, but you're going to describe what's going on in these. You've got the scatter plot. What are we supposed to be looking at? Describe what's going on there. I want you to use some descriptive terms, words that will show us that you know what's going on and help us really visualize that. You're painting word pictures, as it were. And side note, don't have tons and tons and tons of words on your slides. If you say, oh, I know what I can do so I can get away with reading, I'm going to have a bunch of words on my slides and I'm just going to read them. Terrible idea. Terrible, terrible, terrible idea. You should have a couple of bullet points there, and the rest of it should come from your head and your heart. Number 7, figure out how to pronounce foreign words. So you got a Latin term up there. You've got a Japanese word up there. Figure out how to pronounce it. That's part of your job. Here's the strategy some people take. I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know how to... I'm thinking to myself, that's part of your job. You got this crazy looking word there. It's Japanese. Part of your job is to figure out how to say that. And I don't know Japanese, and I don't know Latin. So if you say something with some confidence, I'll believe you. But say it with confidence. That's all I'm asking. If you trip over it and just kind of go like, that's not going to work. Okay? Don't do that. Number 8, use note cards. Let me find my note cards. Here they are. Okay, you got lined note cards, you have unlined note cards. So I've got a couple little points on my note cards, and I'm not looking through a bunch of papers. Here's what I've seen people come in with. They got a bunch of crap like this, and they're kind of looking, here it is. And they just got this whole thing of papers up there. Don't do that. Have note cards like this. Little note cards, little pieces of paper, and don't write so much out. Let me tell you how my brain works. If there's words on the page, my brain wants to read the words on the page. I don't know that everybody's brain works like that, but I tell you what, if you just have a couple little points on there, there's nothing to read. And then you have to think, oh, genome sequencing, what do I have to say about that? Probably everything, because that's what everyone's talking about these days. All right, next point. Time yourself. Okay, I've seen people get up there and they're like, I didn't know I could time myself. When you're up giving a presentation, or when I'm giving a presentation, time goes slow, time goes fast. Time does all sorts of weird, mushy things. But if you have a clock there and you go, oh, 10 minutes, good. I'm right where I should be at 10 minutes because now we're about to go into our conclusion and whatever. Then you're going to be on the right foot. So have a clock there. Look at the clock once in a while or up. But look at the clock once in a while and you will know where you are in the presentation, and you'll find that sweet spot between the minimum time and the maximum time, because that's where you want to be. Because if you go over by 3 minutes, that's not good. If you go under by 3 minutes or a minute or whatever, that's not good. But have a clock, time yourself. And lastly, practice, practice, practice. I cannot tell you how many of these bad presentations, how many resits, how many just god-awful, I just lost 12 minutes of my life presentations I've sat through that could have been so much better if they'd have just practiced. Practice how you're going to interact with your partner. I'm going to say this part, and then you're going to go say this part. I'm going to do the first half, and then I'll say, and now here's Jerry for the second part. Or whatever. How are you going to do that? Practice with the timing. How do I know where am I, what time is it when I'm coming to my conclusion? I know that because I've practiced. What are some other, I've got 2 more points here. Don't do this. Practice looking at the camera. This may not be perfect. I may not look like I'm looking exactly at you, but I know I'm not looking like this. And I know I'm not looking at my reflection, which I am now. I'm looking at my reflection, and I'm not doing that. Practice, where are you going to look at the camera? You got to do it by practicing. And finally, practice what you're going to say. If you think that you're going to get up there on the day, magically, I've got the slides, I've done it in my head a couple of times, and magically on the day it's going to be fine. If you think that, I'm going to tell you right now, you're fooling yourself. What you need to do is practice what you're going to say so that when you get up there, you say it a lot. What do you say? Well, it makes me really nervous to practice. Fine. Who's looking at it? Nobody's looking at it. You're in your room alone, or you're with your partner and you're both horrible. And so you're going to get better together. You're going to give each other feedback or whatever. But practice, practice, practice. It's time well spent. And I say this about the paper all the time. But the point is that this is not about the paper. You doing this paper is not about the paper. It's about you learning how to write in English, you improving your English writing skills, improving your scientific writing and English skills for life. And this is not about this presentation. This is about you improving your presentation skills for life. Yes, we are in a pandemic. Yes, we are in some weird situation where we're having to do this online, but I guarantee people are getting pretty comfortable with this. And this is going to be a skill that people will need in the future. And this is that's the reason we're doing it. We're not doing it because we want to listen to you talk about some scientific paper. We're doing it in service of you improving your skills. You're in school for life skills, not for these specific classes. Yeah, some of the information is pertinent, but mostly, for my money, most of this is about life skills. You're learning how to learn. You're learning how to soak something up and spit it back out. All right? If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at baker.a@hsleiden.nl or come to class. Oh, and Susan suggested, and I think it's a great idea, Susan suggested that the last class we use as a time to present. Someone could present do their presentation or do part of their presentation. Other people could watch, give feedback, listen to me give feedback. I think that's a great idea. What I really wish in Andy Baker world, here's how it works. Although I'll tell you now, we're not in Andy Baker world. But in Andy Baker world, here's how it works. I'll say to someone, I'll give you 2 points on your presentation if you come in and do your presentation ahead of time. And let us watch you give the presentation and get feedback and everything. Now, unfortunately, we cannot do that. But in my perfect world, we can because it's my rules. That's why in Andy Baker world. But if you would like to do that, give you part of your presentation, whatever, that's going to be we're going to have that opportunity in the final class. All right? Oh, someone please do that. I think it'd be great for you. It will make me feel good about you. Let me tell you that. All right. Baker.a@hsleiden.nl. If you have any questions, you can always reach me there, and I'm pretty good at getting right back to you. All right? See you in class, or see you in the presentations, which are coming up on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. Practice, practice, practice.